What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Justin from Justin Paul Sports. We are ready to do a live Week 11 fantasy football and betting preview. It's been a great week. I've been absolutely killing it on my $10 winnable. If you guys want to take a look here, this is what my winnable page looks like. You go to winnable.com/Justin Paul Sports. And when you go through here, you can find all my free picks. They're all up there. It's free to sign up, free to register. And that's where you can get my $10 college football picks and my $10 college basketball picks. We're getting started with the college hoop season, but college football is where it's at right now. So I just want to thank all 7 of my viewers, and thanks for joining us on this Friday night. We're looking forward to this weekend. We got some great games on the schedule, and with that, let me bring in my co-host with the most from the wonderful state of Mississippi. Bobby, what's going on, Bobby?
What is going on, guys? Waiting for Week 11 this Sunday. Super excited. We got not a ton of really solid matchups for college football, but we do have some, and we'll be going over those before we get into the start sets. But yeah, just another great week of football. And I know Louisville and Clemson are playing right now, so that's an interesting game. But outside of that, man, I'm just
ACC
excited.
matchup. Let's get started with our college stuff. Let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get straight into it. So last week, not the best week for either one of us. I went 500 this week. There was a lot of really kind of upset games. I know both of us went for Mississippi State. They got absolutely crushed by Georgia. And one note, and if any of you guys know, some of my watchers are Mississippi State fans as well. Well, looks like we're going to have another starting quarterback this weekend versus Missouri, and he is a stud. Kamario Taylor. He's a stud. He accounted for all of our points against Georgia. Great dual threat quarterback, so I'm excited to see that. But Mississippi State's not on this week. But who is on here up first? We have number 10 Notre Dame. They're going on the road to play Pitt in Pittsburgh. Number 24 Notre Dame minus 11.5 point favorites. I like Pitt. I thought they were solid last year as well. But Notre Dame is just a hard-nosed football team. They kind of hit on their quarterback as well. Obviously, a very good defensive team. Minus 11.5 is just kind of tough for me. I went against them when they played Army last year in this sort of kind of similar situation. But I'm going to go with Pittsburgh plus 11.5. I think this game could be close.
Yeah, but did you hear what the coach said for Pitt football? He said, we don't even care about this game. We care about winning the ACC and getting the ACC championship. Totally dismissing Notre Dame, not in a derogatory sense, but basically saying we don't care about the football game. So I don't know if that's some kind of reverse psychology they're trying to pull on the Irish, but it's going to be – that's a really good line. I mean, I do like Pitt. I do like Eli Holstein, but I'm not certain if he's starting this football game or not. Former Alabama recruit, 5-star recruit, in fact. We've got 2 former 5-star recruits that are in the ACC from Alabama. Pitt's got one of them in Holstein, and Boston College has the other with Dylan Lonergan. But he's with Bill O'Brien, who can stay up there in Boston College for the crimes he committed in Tuscaloosa, not unleashing Jahmyr Gibbs like he should have. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the Irish to cover here. I think that they understand the sense of urgency that if they lose another game here, they're not going to the college football playoff, and instead they'll be going to the Gator Bowl or something along those lines. They really put a damper on the football team compared to how they were doing last year, playing for the national championship game against Ohio State. But you're going to have to take a step back when you lose your quarterback. Lost to a really good Texas A&M football team, but Notre Dame needs to get with the conference. But I do think that they're going to go into Pittsburgh, and I think that they can cover the 11.5. It's a lot of points to lay. But when you're desperate, you do desperate measures, and you want to make the playoffs at all costs. So give me the Irish here.
Yeah, and I do think Notre Dame's going to win. I just think it's going to be a closer game. I think they win by a touchdown maybe. But sure. Up next, a really exciting matchup. We've got number 12 Oklahoma going to Tuscaloosa, playing number 4 Alabama. Alabama minus 6.5 point favorite. Like I say, all of these SEC matchups are super, super close. But I'm still going to ride with Alabama. I do think they win by a touchdown, maybe 10 points max. Oklahoma is just a little bit too much of a hit-or-miss team for me, and Alabama has been on it pretty much all year since the Florida State loss. So I'm going to go with the Crimson Tide to win outright and cover the points.
This is an ideal point spread. Oklahoma's got a great defense, and John Mateer is playing, decent football since he's returned. This is a revenge spot for Alabama last year. College football would not shut up about the 24-3 loss last year as thinking they should not have made the playoffs and SMU deserved it. Well, we saw what happened with SMU when they went to Penn State and got absolutely steamrolled by a superior Penn State football team last year. But nonetheless, I do think that this game's going to be – Alabama played really, really, really lousy last week and still won by double digits against the LSU team. Alabama is really good at creating plays in the red zone defensively. So anytime a team gets down the field, they can turn it over. Like they made Vandy turn it over twice. They made LSU turn it over. They get the penalties. Like everything goes Alabama's way. This game is in Tuscaloosa. All they have to do is win one of the next two SEC games, because after this, it's Eastern Illinois and it's Auburn. And if they win just one of the next two, they're punching their ticket to Atlanta. There's no way they can fall out, because they'll have tiebreakers over Georgia and everybody else. Because, unlike Indiana, they play a real schedule with ranked teams. They don't have to just, hold on for dear life against, a 3-5 Penn State team. The Florida State! No, but Penn State. Nonetheless, it's going to be quite the matchup. But I'm going to take Alabama to cover here. I think that they'll cover here. They do move the ball well. Ty Simpson is really gunning for the Heisman Trophy. He's gunning to be the number one overall quarterback. Yep. Most humble quarterback I've ever seen play. So I'll take Alabama in a close one, but I think they can cover the 6 in the hook.
Yep. And then up next, we have number 20, Iowa. This is a Big Ten matchup. Number 20, Iowa, obviously a great defensive football team, as they've been forever. They're going on the road to play number 19, USC, who's been playing pretty good football as well. Really like the offense that they have, really talented wide receivers, solid quarterback, great running game as well. I'm going to go with USC minus 6.5 here. I think Iowa keeps it low scoring, but I don't think they're going to score enough points to keep this game in winning. They're not going to be able to win this game. So I think USC wins by a touchdown.
I'm going to take Iowa in the points because it's the first trip to Pasadena not Pasadena, it's UCLA. First trip to Southern California, and God knows how long, and the weather's going to suck. It's supposed to be cold in Los Angeles. It's supposed to be wet. That means Iowa does what Iowa does, and that's not play offense. It's play defense. And by God, I saw a couple of posts about this, and Big Cat had said something about, this is perfect for Iowa. This is what they do, which we talked about my Iowa rants a couple times this season, and they're just in Stockholm syndrome about not wanting to get in the 21st century with offense. Yep. They want to live with defense. They seem to do it. They're a ranked football team. They're still playing for a lot here. I'm going to take Iowa to cover the points down there against Lincoln Riley. I don't know if they'll win the football game because they don't know how to – the forward pass isn't a big thing for Iowa. But I do think that the running game is there, and I think that they'll have success running the ball against USC. They're not a sound defensive football team. But I do like their quarterback a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And they also have that receiver, Mekhi Lemon, so there might be some damage.
They got Mekhi Lemon, and they have the other guy. He's got a really cool name. I mean, I just covered him a week ago, but he's also probably going to be a second, third-round pick as well. And then on top of Waylon Jennings, I think is his name. Jennings. I don't remember. Waymond Jordan. That's his name. Waymond Jordan. I know who Waylon Jennings is.
He knows if he didn't, he'd be a traitor to the South. So.
Yeah. So, fun fact: Waylon Jennings. Whenever I first got into making music, one of the people that let me use his recording studio was his nephew. So,
let me give you a fun fact, Flip. He's buried right there in Mesa, Arizona.
Really? I did not know that. So yeah, I got to record a little bit, some country music with him. I'm not a big country music guy. And then I also got to meet Willie Nelson because
oh my God, attaboy.
Yeah, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson's were kind of buds, so he stops by the nephew's house every now and then. So I did get to meet him. So next up, probably the most exciting matchup of the weekend. I know Alabama, Oklahoma, but people are pretty certain like Alabama is going to go in there and win that game. This game, though, I know it has the same line, but people are talking about it a little bit differently than the Alabama game because Alabama's just been steamrolling, just winning. And, Texas, they're on the up and up. Texas really started slow, had a rough start to their season. And Georgia's kind of been up and down all year, but they just came off a really great win against Mississippi State. State on the road. They get to come back home to Athens. They're hosting the number 11 Texas Longhorns, and they're 6.5-point favorites. But I think this is where Texas gets it done. I think they're a make-or-break football team right now. I think Georgia's a make-or-break football team right now too. But I think Texas, they're starting to put it together. They're getting better and better each week. And I think Georgia's going to have an issue. And I think Texas plus 6.5 is the play. I don't know if they win outright, but I do think that they keep it within 6.5 points.
I don't. Texas is the most overinflated team in the top 25. They've been struggling all year. Now, the last 2 games, Arch Manning's had 3 touchdown passes in the last 2 games, but let's be real. This team should not have beat Mississippi State, and that's not a knock against the Bulldogs. They just should not have done it. And this is going to the hedges. Can you believe that Texas and Georgia have both had teams since 1896, and this is the first time that Texas has ever gone to Athens? They've never played there. They played in Texas last year. They played in Atlanta for the SEC championship. But somebody, me, said at the beginning of the season that Texas might lose 4 games. This is one of them, and the next one's going to be A&M. I'm going to take Georgia to cover here. Georgia's been kind of sputtering along, but they get it done.
They find a way to win.
I like Kirby Smart here. I like Zachariah Branch. I don't like Georgia's running game, but Gunnar Stockton has really come into his own. He can move the football with his legs better than people think.
I did not expect that very much. I thought he was really limited last year, but here we are.
I think Texas finally gets knocked out of the college football playoff this Saturday, as I predicted rightfully when everybody else was crowning them national champs. And yes, I'm arrogantly doing that because I want to say I told you so back in when we did our SEC preview back in August. But I'm not buying Texas. I'm buying Georgia at home. That's just a tough place to win. Unless you have the Crimson Tide across your chest, you're not winning there. You're not. You're just not winning there. Texas got blown out twice last year. And Gunnar Stockton has a little bit of revenge because, remember, he came in that game and ended up winning but took that nasty shot late in the game. I'll take the Bulldogs to cover 6.5 here. I think that's a good line. I think that they won't come back. I think Georgia will probably decisively beat this football team. I think it's decisive. I think that they just go in. Texas comes in there. And their piss is going to be hot, as Matt LaFleur likes to say, but I do think that Georgia's going to wear them out. I think it's going to be a wear out. Not like a 21, 28 point, but you're going to see a physical domination of Georgia up front.
Well, next up, we have number 14, Virginia. What a year that they've had. They're going on the road to play Duke, and Duke, the unranked team, they're always a formidable opponent. Over the past, while now, they've always had pretty solid teams, borderline on being ranked. And this year, kind of the same deal. They're 6.5-point favorites versus the ranked Virginia Cavaliers. And I don't really know what to make of this line. I'm going to stay away from this line. If I had to bet, I'm going with the ranked team plus 6.5 here. But yeah, I'm not super knowledgeable about Duke right now or why they're the favorite.
I think that taking the points here is what matters in one of these ACC games. It's not necessarily the ranked number. I think that there's a couple key injuries going on with Virginia, but I think the 6.5 is very, very generous. I'm going to take the Cavaliers to cover here and keep their miracle season alive. They're not really in line. I don't believe they can get in the ACC championship. I think there might still be a path for it, but I do think the Cavaliers cover that number. So we'll just go with that.
Yeah, in the ACC, I mean, they've been very competitive this year. They've got a few, pretty solid teams, that are trying to get in the playoff conversation. And the last team that we're going to talk about is one of the people, right? NC State going on the road to play number 18 Miami. Similarly to how Miami was last year, they start off really hot, and then they just kind of fade away as the season goes on. Carson Beck looked amazing the first few weeks of the season. He's really started to have a lot of, turnover problems towards, the mid to end of the season. But despite that, NC State, they went in and played Georgia Tech really hard, won the football game, and they were a top 4 team. Despite that, Miami still minus 14.5-point favorites at home. I'm going to take NC State plus 14.5. They're the hotter football team. Miami's just been sputtering around the past few weeks. I'm going to stay away from Miami right now. And I don't think they have a path to the playoffs right now, so I'm going to go with NC State. I think Miami's inflated.
I think that hook might be the difference, but I'm going to go ahead and lay the points here because NC State's defense is atrocious. 111th ranked defensively overall, 135th in pass defense. Miami's offense, they're absolutely time of possession based. But Carson Beck, for all the jokes and all the hoo-ha and all this and that, this is a game where they're going to have to get it right. I like the coaching better down there in Miami. They're going to have recruits in the house. I think Miami can cover that 14.5. I mean, that half on those particular numbers when it comes to sports betting, those hooks mean the world. But I just feel that Miami's going to get this done. I think we're going to see a legacy game from Carson Beck here. We are. When teams play really sloppy and then they start to get it together down the stretch, this can be a spot because Miami has a minimal path to the ACC championship. But they're still in contention for the college football playoff. But this is one where I think they can win this game, though. I think they win and cover. So we'll go ahead and go with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and keep it moving, my friend, into the first game of the weekend. I did not check to see if any of these were international games. This one's played in Spain, right?
It's Berlin.
Berlin. Okay. So we're going to have another early game here versus two teams that have kind of struggled. The Commanders, they lost their quarterback a couple weeks ago. They've got Mariota, who's been serviceable as a backup, showing why he was a top 2 pick in the NFL draft long ago. He looks like he's perfect for the system. He's playing the Dolphins, who have had some really weird wins this year and some really bad wins. So they're coming off of a Bills win, which is insane. And with that spiraling uptick of production for the Dolphins, they're minus 2.5 point favorites. I like the Dolphins here. I don't like the Commanders' defense. And I think the offense is just a little bit too pedestrian with the play calls to really get it going. So I like the Dolphins here. They're a lot more explosive.
I do too. I think Tua got it right last week. I remember what I said about when they fire somebody higher up. Usually that puts a big burden off the team.
Yep.
And I know that they don't have Tyreek Hill, but they sure have Devon Achane, and they sure have a Jalen Waddle, and those guys were absolutely crushing it. The Commanders have just so many injuries offensively. I mean, Jaden Daniels is out. I don't think that they got any deep threats that worry Miami. I'm going to take Miami to cover here. This is one of my favorite plays of the week. This is my confident pick of the week is Miami at home, slowly working things out, slowly might figure it out, maybe tries to creep in that 7th spot. When you got those kind of players on offense and you get that ball rolling with Achane, and Tua's, for all the jokes aside for Tua, if he doesn't turn it over and can stay as accurate as he can, this is a winnable game for the Dolphins. I'll take the Dolphins. I'll lay the 2.5.
Well, and they're coming off a great win. Like I said, that means a lot. I mean, they're hot streaking right now, I think. And like you said, the Commanders just don't really have anybody outside of Deebo Samuel catching footballs. Deebo and Zach Ertz. I don't think Terry McLaurin's playing, and Jalen Lane has the most fumbles in the NFL right now. That's not a quarterback. So, I mean, he's just been atrocious. He's supposed to be a deep threat of some kind. He hasn't worked out thus far. So, like the Dolphins here for sure. And you talked about some of the playmakers. Tua Tagovailoa had a really good game last week versus the Bills. And he's one of those guys that just starts – he'll start hot streaking, and then he'll have 3 or 4 weeks of just really good play, and then he'll suck for a couple weeks. And I think this is the time versus a really piss-poor Commanders defense. I think Tua can get you 20 points, I think, in 6-point passing touchdown leagues. And then next up, Devon Achane. Look, I was the guy that was down on him all offseason, did not think he was going to finish as an RB1 because of the limitations. But this offense has played around those limitations and playing towards his strengths, and he's been doing really good with it. So, like Devon Achane to start here, especially versus this defense. And Jalen Waddle, man, I mean, he's been like a 15-point guy minimum every single week. I mean, 7 for 80 and a touchdown is like what he goes for nowadays. And he has those big blow-up games where he can catch a 50, 60-yard bomb, and then all of a sudden you're looking at a 20-point week. So I like Waddle here. And then Deebo and Zach Ertz are the only people that they really throw to in this offense. So I think those are the only guys that I'm going with the Commanders. I'm not going to start Marcus Mariota, even though I need to see more consistency because he played the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs defense is really good, but he was abysmal against the Chiefs, and he's played good last week. I just need to see a little bit more consistency before starting Marcus Mariota. Terry McLaurin's out. Jakrowski Merritt has just been average at best. I mean, he's like Tony Pollard, basically. He's getting touches, but he's just not doing much with them. I'm not going to say it's on him because the offense hasn't been very good either, but don't start him until the offensive situation gets better. Ollie Gordon's only good if he's going to score you a touchdown. And Malik Washington has been quietly pretty good once Tyreek Hill went out, but he just doesn't offer you a lot of – he's not running routes down the field a lot as like a real receiver. He's like their screen guy. And he's going to have to break one of those screens to be relevant. So sticking him on the bench for now.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll go ahead and get into the next game, a NFC South matchup.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised, man. I mean, these teams just beat the hell out of each other every time they play against each other. The Panthers are the weirdest team in the NFL where they are just they play shitty football all day and they win the game somehow every time. They're going on the road playing the Falcons, who – I mean, they're probably a bottom 5 NFL team. They might get wins, but I think they're a bottom 5 NFL team right now. They're still the favorites because they're at home. I like the Panthers here. The Panthers have got a much better resume throughout the season. And the last time they played this team, the Panthers, they beat them 30-0. So I'm going to go with the Panthers plus 3.5 here pretty easily. It's one of the lines I feel the best about.
Man, it's actually a tougher line because when you play a road game and it's tough to sweep an opponent twice in a season, and the Falcons are in a desperation spot here. I mean, but Carolina is getting it done. I mean, they went up to Green Bay, pulled out the upset there, despite Bryce Young playing terrible football the last 2 weeks. But, you know, Carolina's got that amazing running game. And because they got the running game, that's what's able to wind the clock and keep things going. They just don't have anything super explosive with Xavier Legette. I mean, they do got Ted McMillan and Jalen Coker is back, but those guys have got to get the ball rolling. Falcons are just really, really in a down spot here. A 3.5 at home is kind of a spot where there's something going on that we're going to see. Are we going to see finally Bijan Robinson have that breakout game? It seems like there's something in Atlanta's water that wants to keep Tyler Algier getting these carries. It's craziness. There's some crazy decision-making in the NFL when it comes to running backs that play. I mean, it took practically injuries, cuts, everything else to get TreVeyon Henderson on the field, and then look what happens when you put explosive players out there. Yep. It was just kind of nuts. And I don't know. I think that 3.5 is a bit too much. I think 3 is the right number here, so I'll take the Panthers and the points. And because it's the NFC South and because you know it's going to be on drugs, I will be looking forward to seeing this game. The highlights of it, I expect some abuse. But I hope my boy Bryce balls out and Panthers move to a nice, healthy record.
Yep. So Ted McMillan, I mean, he's the first guy that you have to start on this Panthers offense. I mean, he's getting like 6-7 catches every single game. And like his floor is like 10 points. He's been a very safe receiver, just not the highest ceiling because this offense isn't really the best. And Rico Dowdle has earned the RB1 job 100% for the Carolina Panthers. Chuba Hubbard has been, we'll talk about him in a minute, but he's just kind of been moved into the backup role because Rico Dowdle's been running hot, and he's going to continue to run hot. I know he's dealing with a little bit of a quad injury, but he's been dealing with that pretty much all year, so I don't think that's going to stop him much. So like him as a start. Michael Penix Jr. has had some good starts and some not so good starts, but one thing I will say that's improved with him tremendously is the turnovers. He hasn't thrown a lot of turnovers this year. Last year, he had the same amount of touchdowns as he had interceptions. He's keeping it consistent. I think he's like a wish Jared Goff in a way, but I do think he offers you some solid upside with the weapons. Bijan Robinson's one of those weapons. Bijan has just been very mid the past couple of weeks, but he gives you the upside that he can give you a 25, 30-point game with the passing upside, and just he's one of the most talented rushers of the football. Just because he hasn't gotten it done the past couple of weeks, I would not sit him because of that. The talent is just there. Last up, Drake London. Michael Penix throws in the red zone to one person, and it's Drake London. They don't throw it to Kyle Pitts. They don't throw it to Darnell Mooney. They don't throw it to Bijan. They throw it to Drake London. And Drake London has multiple touchdowns in the red zone. And I think he will at minimum get a touchdown in this game. So, like Drake London. And, I mean, he also just gets targeted a ton as well. Then for the sits, Darnell Mooney He's had some hands problems this year. He's had some drop issues and just isn't getting targeted. So staying away from him. Tyler Algier is only relevant if he scores a touchdown, but he has been running hot. I love him as a free agency pickup for some team that needs a running back this next year. And then Kyle Pitts has been way too inconsistent, man. I like him as a player a ton, but they just aren't targeting him enough. And then Chuba and Xavier, they're more rotational guys. Chuba is definitely the RB2. I would be surprised if he gets less than 10 touches in this game, just outside of an injury. And then Xavier Legette, he had a couple of solid games, but he's been very inconsistent. So staying away from those guys.
Keep on rolling. How's that pizza? Is that good?
Man, I ordered it at like 6, which was an hour and 30 minutes ago, and it just arrived.
Oh, man.
My plan was to get it, eat it, and do the show. Well, it didn't happen that way. But next up, a really exciting matchup. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're dealing with some injuries. They're going on the road in a really bad time to play in New York. Very cold, very bad weather. The Bills are 5.5-point favorites. I like the Bills here minus 5.5. I think they're going to answer the loss last week very prominently, and the Buccaneers just have a really tough time on defense. So, like the Bills, I think Josh Allen's going to have a great game this week.
Yeah, man, it's really tough to get against the Buffalo Bills at home. I mean, we've seen the breakout of Emeka and Buka, but they are still without Chris Godwin, still without Bucky Irving, still without Mike Evans. I mean, Baker's got to carry all this football team mostly. And Sean Tucker hasn't exactly been elite back there behind the line of scrimmage. And Rashad White's been kind of absent. He's either red hot or ice cold.
Yep.
You know, ice cold. The game's going to be in Buffalo this weekend, like you said. I think Josh Allen does have himself a football game. The Bills have got to keep working to try and capture the AFC East. I mean, they got to play catch up to New England, who's just been playing unbelievable, but have had advantages of a softer schedule. I'm going to take the Bills to cover 5.5 here. Man, I don't like playing favorites, but it just feels like in the NFL, it just feels like a chalk season, and sometimes this happens, and there's enough of a gap between these two football teams to say, well, you know, the line's this way for the reason, so we need to make these decisions as Vegas. And when they set the lines, they kind of know what they're doing. So I will take Buffalo minus 5.5. I think Josh Allen really takes charge here. The Buccaneers have just got to keep fighting. They've won that division 5 years in a row. So we'll see what they can do.
And honestly, I mean, there's not much else to this Buccaneers offense outside of Baker Mayfield and Nick Buka. I like Tez Johnson as a spot starter. I do think he's really talented, but you know, he's a little inconsistent to start in your lineup consistently. So Baker and Egbuka, I mean, they're the wide receiver one, and Baker's had a pretty good year. He started really hot, and then he's kind of slowed down. But I like both of them as starts. And then in these types of games in, you know, halfway through November, getting into, you know, the winter time where the weather's bad, Josh Allen really becomes the winter soldier, which is his nickname. I mean, and I like him as a starter. I think he gets multiple rushing yards, probably multiple rushing touchdowns. James Cook is going to have – you saw the game he had in the snow last year when they played the 49ers. I mean, he just went crazy. So, like James Cook. And I'll finally starting Shakir. Only because there's nobody else really. Kincaid's hurt. Keon's been inconsistent. I mean, Shakir's just been the guy that gets the targets, and he's giving you 10 to 12 points every single week. So if you need that to win, and you don't want the high upside guys, Khalil Shakir is a pretty consistent guy if you want to start. Bucky is not playing, I don't believe. So
he's out.
Put that in Sean Tucker in place of Bucky Irving. Same thing with Rashad White. I'm not starting any of the Buccaneers running backs this week. They're just not really going to be prepared for the weather, I don't think. And the run game just hasn't been that great the past few weeks either. Keon Coleman, I like some of the film that I saw last week, but he's just not getting targeted enough, man. And he's just not fast enough to really separate at the next level right now. So he's going to have to clean some things up before he starts on my team anytime soon. And then Josh Palmer, Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid's dealing with an injury, so I'm staying away from him right now. And then Josh Palmer, I know Kincaid's probably a game-time decision to start, actually play. And then Palmer's just been pretty much a nothing burger, even though he's the wide receiver 2, the starting slot guy a lot of the time. He just hasn't done much, so stay away from him as well.
Look at my man Bobby just killing it with these analysis. Out of those, the most unfortunate one has been Keon Coleman. I mean, I made a trade earlier in the season to acquire Keon Coleman in a first. The player I sent escapes me, but nonetheless, it's just been a bit of a disappointment. Speaking of disappointment, it's the AFC South, which is like the inverted bizarro world to the NFC South. If you're in a South division in the NFL, you are some Wild West shit, but we absolutely love the carnage that goes on down there.
Unless you're the Colts, man. Unless you're the Colts. They've escaped the South curse. But these two teams, unfortunate for the Texans. Texans have been a decent team, slightly above average team. They lost C.J. Stroud. Looks like he's not going to play again this week. Davis Mills is going to come and start in. He's an okay starter. But
he had a really good game. Last week he had a come-from-behind win. I mean, he got the job done. When
he started before they drafted C.J. Stroud, he had a decent showing despite having one of the worst rosters in the NFL. So I do think the Texans, when they go on the road to play the Titans, they are the 7.5-point favorites. I think the Titans keep it close here, and I think this is a field goal game.
So this line has changed. I got to interrupt you here. This line is now Houston -5.5. So
okay, I like that. I like the Texans then.
Yeah, that's a significant change to what's going on here. But I don't know if, I think that there might be something screwy in Denmark here, and I think the Titans pull the upset and win the game outright.
That's what I'm kind of thinking in my mind right now. Because the Texans, how many weeks in a row are you going to be able to pull something off with Davis Mills? Who knows? Cam Ward has been atrocious. I mean, it's not entirely his fault, but he has been bad, objectively bad. His film's not that great. Looks like, I mean, you throw him in a terrible situation, you expect his confidence to not falter, and he's a very mentally strong person, but I mean, even that, I mean, you're seeing the confidence break a little bit because he's getting pressured so much. So, I like the Titans. I think +5.5 here. I think this is a field goal game.
I like the Titans a sprinkle money line here. That money line is going to be kind of healthy. Actually, looking online here, the money line on that is 220. So.
So as you can see here, this has never happened on this show. But as I was doing this graphic, there's not a single person that I want to start in this game outside of maybe Nico Collins. That's it. There's not a single person. Elick, no. Cam Ward, no. Davis Mills, absolutely not. Dalton Schultz, no. Chig, no. I don't even know if he's playing. He's hurt. I mean, there's just not anybody from this squad that I want. None of the running backs excite me. Tony Pollard, no. Woody Marks, no. None of these guys excite me outside of maybe Nico Collins. I don't even feel great about starting Nico Collins this week. So.
Well, when it comes to lousy teams in the AFC South.
Yeah. So we're just going to go straight through this game and go to the next one. There's not much to say on that one, but here is a game I'm a little bit excited about.
Before you start on that absolutely, I had no idea. I don't review the slides with Bobby before the show, so that was absolutely amazing. So just wanted to say that I appreciate that very much.
Yeah,
Bobby.
I mean that one.
Good stuff.
I mean, who are you supposed to start in good faith on either one of those teams? No one. I mean, you're not feeling good about any of those guys. But this next game, I do feel good about a lot of players, and it's the Bears going on the road to play the Vikings, and they're 3.5-point favorites. The Vikings have been really this year with J.J. McCarthy under center. Justin Jefferson is not really struggling. He had his worst game of 7.7 points last week if you're in a PPR league. I think they continue to struggle because the Bears defense is really good. They lead the NFL in turnover margins. In the top 5 players that are leading the NFL in interceptions, the Bears have 3 of those top 5 guys. So, like the Bears +3.5 here. Caleb Williams, I know people were hating on him a lot. Well, for whatever reason, once he gets down in the third, fourth quarter, he starts making some plays that I don't see any quarterback in the NFL making besides him. So I like the Bears to win this game. He played good against the Vikings last time they played from a fantasy perspective. So I like the Bears here. I think they're going to continue to win games in this division.
So the line's changed to 3.5 to 2.5, but which is substantial. But I like the Vikings to cover either way. Listen, Chicago got very fortunate to come back from 10 points down and beat the Giants. And let's be real, it's only because Jackson Dart got that concussion protocol. The Bears are a lousy football team, and they've been able to pull off a few things here and there, and people are misguided about them winning. I mean, Caleb Williams did have his moment in the fourth quarter, but when your star quarterback leaves and Russell Wilson comes in, it took all the wind out of the sails of that offense. Like, it was just completely gone. You can see it. Brian Daboll is out. So Mike Kafka is going to take over. Oh, I'm sorry. Brian, but that cost Brian Daboll his job. But we're talking about Minnesota here. I'm going to take J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to take Justin Jefferson. I'm going to take Aaron Jones. I'm going to take Dallas Turner and Ivan Pace defensively to get in the Bears' ass. I think the Vikings win the game and cover the spread nicely. A little reality check going on with the Bears. Not Bears hate. I just think that last week they were really fortunate. And that's a good change of culture win. Like, let's not take anything away. This is the NFL. It's real tough to win in the NFL. And Caleb Williams did have a great fourth quarter. There's zero doubt.
And they have a top 5 defense and a top 14 offense in the NFL right now. So I think, they're doing really good right now. I think they're going to continue to hot streak, and I think they're going to get another win in the NFC North here. But we're going to have to see. The Vikings are really talented everywhere. And let's go ahead and talk about it. Caleb Williams, 100% a start for me. I know he had a couple of back-to-back weeks, 10 points-ish. That's like his floor. And then he has multiple 40-point games this year. And he's just been getting better and better each week, which is what you're wanting to see from a year 2 quarterback. So like him as a starter, I think he's one of the best fantasy quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He's top 10, absolutely. He's a QB9 right now in my league, 6-point passing touchdowns. Next up, Rome Odunze. He had a goose egg 2 weeks ago. Then he comes back, has a touchdown, 100 yards. I mean, he's one of the go-to targets for Caleb Williams, and I think that's not going to change. Then Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland did not have a great start to the year. Cole Kmet was playing a lot. Colston Loveland was kind of the second tight end, and he slowly moved up. Had the big game 2 weeks ago. Had a solid 13, 14-point game last week in tight end premium leagues. So like Colston Loveland as a start here. Justin Jefferson is a must start no matter what. I know he gave you 7 points last week, but that is his absolute minimum. That's the worst game that he's going to have this year, I think. So like Justin Jefferson, I like Jordan Addison as a boomer bust wide receiver 3 here. I mean, I'm not the biggest on Addison, but there's not anybody else in this offense that I like. That's including T.J. Hawkinson. And then for the sits, J.J. McCarthy, I think, is going to throw he's going to make a lot of mistakes versus the Bears defense. I think it's going to be a multiple pick game from J.J., possibly a fumble as well. But he does have the rushing upside to get the touchdowns when needed. I don't think this is going to be a great game from J.J. I need to see more consistency from him outside of 2 decent games where he still turned the ball over multiple times. And then the running backs for Minnesota, Aaron Jones is like an okay starter, but I'm avoiding this Minnesota running game at all costs. And the same thing for the Bears, but not because the Bears running game is bad. The running game for the Bears started off really bad the first 3-4 weeks of the season, and then they've slowly gotten better and better each week. DeAndre Swift has had multiple really good games, but the resurgence of Kyle Monangai is really giving this backfield problems from a fantasy perspective. I think this is more of a split backfield going forward. Even though I like both of the guys, neither one of them are going to be relevant while the other one is there. So kind of like a double-edged sword here.
Good stuff, man. I mean, I think that J.J. McCarthy could be a start here. Just like I said, I know the Bears' defense has been playing well, but we also see the Giants been able to move the football against them. Yeah. McCarthy's hit or miss. I mean, they played earlier in the season, and J.J. McCarthy absolutely destroyed him in Soldier Field, if you remember on that Monday Night Football game. Yeah. Was that week 1 or week 2?
That was week 1. I was open. That was the first week.
I think the Vikings season sweep is going on there in Minnesota when that big horn goes off, and the Odin shows his all-father mightiness, and Thor with his big hammer, and Freya.
They got a lot of cool stuff going on in Minnesota, man.
They do. I mean, I'm not a Minnesota Vikings fan, but I think that they win this game. I think the atmosphere is a bit much. Give me the Vikings.
Absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and get into the next matchup. Green Bay Packers going on the road to play Jameis Winston and the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. And this is a little bit of an interesting matchup because the Packers had a really bad performance last week in the Monday night game. It was very bad offensively. They tried their best defensively, only held them, to 10 points, right? There's 10-7. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the offense just isn't really cooking right now. It's Jacobs or bust right now. They're not getting anything going through the air. I know y'all have had a few injuries with Tucker Kraft, Matthew Golden's banged up, right? But, yeah, I mean, it's just the Josh Jacobs show right now, and Jordan Love just hasn't been as accurate as you want him to be. But I do think the Packers show up here. I don't think they cover the points, but I do think they win because Jameis Winston, I cannot bet against that man for whatever reason. He's probably going to throw 450 yards in the first half for some reason. 5 touchdowns, 4 picks, whatever. I do think he keeps this game close offensively. So I like the Giants plus 7.5 here, but I do think they lose this game. It's a close one.
Jameis Winston is my favorite cartoon character that's ever existed in an NFL team. And it would be funny if Scadaboo was playing because those two guys could absolutely have a reality show going on.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
no, I mean, just imagine them like on a Hard Knocks with Jameis Winston and Cam Scadaboo. Like, it would be good television. But Cam's not
and
playing.
Jameis doesn't even have to start. Like, if I'm a GM, Jameis could be completely cooked as a quarterback. He's still a good quarterback. But just to have him on the roster, pay him whatever you need to pay him, $5-6 million a year. I know that's a little bit much for a backup quarterback, but Jameis adds so much to the team. I mean, you've seen him talking about doing Bible study after. He's a great teammate, and he is hilarious. I guarantee you he adds more than $6 million worth of value to your football team, and he doesn't even have to play. That's insane. There's very few players out there that can be like that.
When he was in Cleveland, Jerome Ford said every time Jameis calls a play in the huddle, it's like he's got a surprise to tell you.
Yeah.
And you could see it in his eyes. But going to the line here, so let's talk about it. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, and I was, for the first time since I've been watching this team in a while, really, really annoyed with LaFleur's play calling Monday night. I was deeply irritated with it. It felt like Jordan Love was scared. I don't want to say scared, but like it was something about the Eagles' defense that was getting to his eyes. Like, it just did not look comfortable all night long, and there were times when he had protection, and he keeps looking for a deep shot, I think, too, when they try and run certain plays.
Gunslinger.
But LaFleur has been under media scrutiny all week in Green Bay about his play calling, about his position, but he's been defiant and said he's still going to call the plays. But they've got to do something. I mean, Elgton Jenkins is on IR. His season is likely over. He broke his leg. So that's a huge loss on the offensive front. So they moved Sean Regan as the center. But they still got their tackles. They still got Walker. They still got Morgan in there. Aaron Banks has been kind of a disappointment. And I don't think that LaFleur trusts Luke Musgrave like he was trusting Tucker Kraft. I don't even know if it's
pretty obvious.
But you got to do something. You can't. I mean, the Eagles, every game that they've lost has been defensively dominant. As a Packer fan, we've been crying for this lack of defense for years. We go out and get this elite pass rusher, the best in the NFL, and he makes a difference in the game. He may not be getting the sacks, but he's getting the pressure. The other guys are getting there. The quarterbacks and the running backs have to
count too, though, which is a little
constantly
bit
double teamed. He's a difference maker, and you're holding the Eagles to 10. You're holding the Panthers to 13. And you're losing these football games, both of them at home. Like, they have to win this game. I mean, I felt like the Monday night game was a barometer for the season. But I'm going to give a little bit of grace because the Eagles are an elite football team defensively. But if they go to New York against an interim coach with no Jackson Dart, no Cam Scadaboo, no Malik Neighbors, I mean, you got Jameis Winston throwing the trashman out there. No offense to Wan'Dale Robinson. And you can't win this football game, that seed is going to start getting hot in Green Bay. Because now you went from the 1 seed, now you're the 7 seed, you're in 3rd place, you're behind the Bears. This is not what we're going to do. Ed Policy is running the team now since not Gutekunst, but what's his name? Murphy. The Packers force you to retire when you turn 70 years old or 65. You're forced out. They won't let you work. And he did not extend LaFleur. So LaFleur's got to get it together. This is a winnable game. Thibodeau's out. Like, no excuses. You got to go to New York and kick some ass. I'm going to trust the Packers to do it. I'll lay the points here.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into it a little bit. So, you see who's on the left side of the bracket. You see him. He's there. The crab stealing man himself. He is there. But we'll talk about it.
He's from Bessemer, Alabama, or Hueytown. He's from Hueytown, Alabama. He's a Birmingham.
When you live
area.
around water, whatever. So listen, Jordan Love, I think versus this defense, he can get something going. They're banged up. They don't have the best defense to begin with. Limited with linebackers. Their secondary is not that great. It's their front seven that's really good. But I think he's got enough athleticism to get away from that pass rush and make some plays, and I think he's worth a start. This is the last time I will start him. If he lays another sub 15-point game, I will never start him for the rest of the season. This is a make or break game for Jordan Love because of the banged up defense. Josh Jacobs is a must start. He's getting the touchdowns pretty much every single game, and he's getting 20 touches pretty much every single game. So you got to keep. And on top of that, he's a good player. It's not like Tony Pollard. He's going out there and getting 20 carries and getting 40 yards. Josh Jacobs is actually getting yardage every play, so I like Josh Jacobs. Jameis Winston, he will either get you 35, and it's just the year of these weird quarterbacks like, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco, these backups that are coming in and really killing it. I mean, Jacoby has not had a game under 23 points, and I think Joe Flacco, since he went to the Bengals, has not had a game under 28 points or something crazy like that. Jameis might be the latest trend, the latest addition to that trend. So I like Jameis Winston. I'm going to see what he does with this limited offense. I think he can really
I'm going to push back on that point. I know I don't ever interrupt you on to start sits, but I'm going to push back on that with this. To be fair, Joe Flacco's throwing to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Jameis Winston is throwing to very small wideouts that aren't even close to
Who's Jacoby Brissett throwing to? Trey McBride, and that's it.
Yep.
MHJ's hurt.
It just got to be mindful of that. But I can see why Jameis can light it up. He made Jerry Jeudy a star, and ever since he left.
And look what that receiver room's doing now. I think Jameis Winston will make Wan'Dale Robinson a 150-yard wide receiver, and I think Theo Johnson should be another guy. I mean, literally, if there's any quarterback that can do it, it's Jameis Winston. And I think Jameis Winston can really go out there and make something happen because the secondary is not where your guys are great at.
No.
Front seven, got some solid linebackers here and there, but it's the pass rush that's really helping y'all on defense. The secondary is not great. I think Jameis Winston can really make something happen there. And surprisingly elusive, Jameis Winston is sometimes. So like that, like Wan'Dale Robinson, he's just a really solid, low floor. Like he's got a really high floor. 10 points is like your minimum for him. And with Jameis, I mean, the stock of all your receivers goes up when Jameis Winston's there, regardless of how many picks he throws. And Theo Johnson, I think he's going to make it go wild with Theo Johnson as well. You saw back in Cleveland, he was throwing to David Njoku a ton. Theo's real similar to Njoku, a big athletic type. So I like both of those guys to start. And then for the sits, don't like any of the receivers. I don't think – is Golden playing? Do you know? I know he's still banged up.
He's questionable.
So he's probably a game time. I don't like any of the receivers. I don't like Musgrave. I think Dobbs is like the most consistent out of all of them. I know what's the other guy? Dontavian Wicks is questionable. I mean, y'all have a lot of injuries in the wide receiver room, so I just don't like any of the guys really.
I think this might be a Christian Watson breakout game here.
I think Christian Watson, he's not on this list because he's been very consistent since he's came back from injury. So I think he can – I mean, he's getting 40, 50-yard catches pretty much every week. So I think he's an okay start. He's just really marginal for me. And then Tyron Tracy, Devin Singletary, stay away from the running backs if they're not Scadaboo. I think both of these guys are mid at best. And then Jalen Hyatt. I mean, if there's ever a game where Jalen Hyatt can have a game, it's this game with Jameis Winston. But I'm staying away from him because he hasn't shown literally anything yet. But if he goes out there and puts a 100-yard game, I would go. I'm doing the over on whatever Hyatt's line is. It's probably like 12.5 yards or something. I would slam the over on that.
I would say this. With Brian Daboll out of it, maybe Kafka likes this guy. And he's a big receiver and he's fast as hell. There could be you could be onto something there. You could be onto something there. I don't think that's a far-fetched idea. And I'm going to back up the Packers secondary there. Nixon has been playing well, and Valentine has been playing well. I mean, they're not elite corners. They're not with the fun names like Ramsey and all this other stuff, but they have been playing well because of the pass rush, and they have had some PBUs. They're not the worst. They're not like bottom barrel defensive backs like I thought this would be this year. But Nate Hobbs, that's been a bust signing for sure.
Well, yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think it's going to be a little cold, but Green Bay, it's Wisconsin. I mean, they're used to it being cold. But here's another, you were just talking about Jalen Ramsey. Fun fact. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Jalen Ramsey's been playing a lot of strong safety this year for the Steelers. They've had a couple of injuries. Joey Porter Jr. got hurt, so they're moving him back to corner. But interesting, because I don't think I've ever seen Jalen Ramsey play safety before, but he's a really good safety. I mean, great hitter. But regardless of that, the Bengals, who have been cooking on offense, Joe Flacco has been doing great things. They had the loss to the Bears, but neither here nor there. They're going to Pittsburgh, playing the Steelers. The Steelers are minus 4.5-point favorites. I think the Bengals win this game. I might be crazy, but I think the Bengals win this game. I think defensively they're atrocious, but Aaron Rodgers is so conservative that I don't think they put the points up fast enough, and I think the Bengals really get a win here. I think they're going to continue to be explosive here.
Well, since this is up, the line's gone. I just checked. It's up to 5.5.
Still like it.
I think last week we saw Aaron Rodgers. He had one of the worst games of his entire career. So one of two things is going to happen here. This is a get-right defense for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's be real about it. And their offensive line is atrocious. I think T.J. Watt's going to have himself a game here. The Bengals season is on life support. But I think that they're going to come out there and it'll be, rematch. They won. I mean, the Bengals had beat their rear ends in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. It's hard to beat two teams in a row. I'm going to take the Steelers at home. I think this might be a game where we see a really good game from Jalen Warren. I think this might be a game where they run the ball efficiently. I mean, I just don't see the Cincinnati. Trey Hendrickson's not supposed to play. So there's nobody on that side of the ball that's intimidating. I like Aaron Rodgers in this matchup more than Flacco against the Steelers defense. Like you said, I like the Steelers pass rush better. I definitely like the secondary better for Pittsburgh over Cincinnati. Give me the Steelers laying the points.
Well, let's go ahead and look at it because we have differing opinions on the quarterbacks here. Because Joe Flacco, regardless of who he's played against, good defense, bad defense, 30 points. Every week. Who cares? 30, 35, 40. He had almost 500 yards passing against the Bears, who are a very good defense, 4 touchdowns. He throws some picks here and there, but he's only thrown 2 picks in 4 games, and he's thrown, I think, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 touchdowns. So 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions the past 4 weeks, averaging like 320 yards a game. I cannot go against that regardless of who he's playing against. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, man, they are much better fantasy assets right now than when Joe Burrow and Jake Browning were playing. So this offense has been playing its best of its entire season right now, and I think they're going to continue to cook. I mean, like I said, this is a weird game because of the defense that they're playing against, but I think this passing game is going to continue to be dominant. And then DK Metcalf has had a solid start to the year. He's kind of slowed down a little bit, but I do think he has a touchdown in him during this game. You would start a lot of the guys against this Bengals defense. Bengals defense is horrible. I think Metcalf can get a long touchdown. And then, like you said, Jalen Warren. I mean, he's had a decent year, but versus this defense, I mean, you got to start him. And then for the sits, I think Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's coming off a really bad game. He's had multiple pretty meh games this year. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 250 yards. I mean, that's just not going to get it done in fantasy for you. He's very conservative, doesn't really push the ball downfield way too much. He's just taking a lot of checkdowns. He's kind of like Alex Smith, Chiefs Alex Smith right now compared to what he was in Green Bay. So I'm staying away from him. Roman Wilson, I think he's a bait right now. I'm going to stay away from him. Jonnu Smith has been a bust for the Steelers this year. Hasn't really done much of anything. And then Noah Fant and Andre Ushivas are the two guys that I don't think are worth starting for this Bengals offense. That's probably the only guys that I mean, obviously Jermaine Burton, he hasn't caught a pass all year, but these guys are actually involved. I'm staying away from them right now.
It's been the best stuff. It's been good stuff, my friend. I agree with that list fully. I think Rodgers might have himself a game, though. It just, when it comes to Rodgers against lousy defenses, we know what's going on. But you know what's not lousy is Cut. Shout out for Cut. They are our sponsor. They are the social betting platform. Did you know you can bet on how high or how low Bitcoin's going to go? It's going down, folks, sadly. I've got some crypto that I dislike or that I like that's just been going south. You were able to bet on how long the government shutdown lasted. You're able to bet all kinds of player props. You can bet your friends. You can bet your enemies. You can bet anybody who puts a wager out there. You got all kinds of bets. You got money lines. You got your sports betting with your basketball. Obviously, college basketball's here. The NBA's here. NHL is up there. We're in the heart of college football season. We're in the midst of the NFL season. All the passing props. You can bet on who's going to win the Heisman, Ty Simpson. You can bet on who's going to win any division, who's going to anything your heart desires. There's no limits on Cut. They've been an absolutely wonderful sponsor. Use that code COVER2CASH, folks. Use that code. Get yourself a sign-up bonus. Go find yourself a wager on there. Thumb through it. You can bet on who's going to win the midterms. You were able to bet on the elections last week. I mean, it's not strictly limited to just betting on sports. It's betting on whatever it is that your little heart desires. And you can create your own bets on there, and some people might jump all over it. You can set your own lines, and obviously there's tools in there to affect the lines, so you obviously can't give yourself a huge underdog for something that'd be crazy. Like you couldn't bet, hey, who's going to win the mayor of New York and pick the guy that won and set it at plus 500. That's not how it works, folks. You can't hustle the system. And Cut is available in 45 states. It is a totally legal platform in those 45 states. It's American-owned. You are not having your money go overseas somewhere where you can't trust it. It's all done through your debit card and your ACH bank, whatever it is you want to use. I absolutely love it. Cut is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
So
I've been killing it on Cut this year, man. Been killing it. But who have been killing it this year is the Los Angeles Chargers. They're going on the road to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. And despite going on the road, they're 2.5-point favorites right now versus the Jaguars. Jaguars have had multiple injuries. Haven't played up to par, really. They've been okay, but not great. I do think the Chargers win this game just with all the talent that they have on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go with the Chargers minus 2.5 here, even though they're going on the road across the country.
I like the Jaguars to win the game outright here. So take the money line, a little bit of a sprinkle there. I'm going to take the 2.5 points. They don't have Travis Hunter for the rest of the year. Brian Thomas breakout game's got to happen. It's got to happen. Dude is way too good. Trevor Lawrence has to find a way to give him the football. I like Travis Etienne. I mean, the Chargers running game is absolutely abysmal. It's just not there. Their offensive line is trash. The Jaguars can get pass rush. They got Trayvon Walker. They've got Hines Allen. They've got great linebackers. They've got great – that's just a good defensive team. I think the Chargers are making a playoff – or the Jaguars are making a playoff push here. I think that they match up well. You're just going to have to see Herbert slinging it to QJ and getting out there to Ladd and my boy Gadsden. But I think the Jaguars win the game at home. Big win for them in the AFC South. They keep trying to keep pace with the Indianapolis Colts, looking to get in the playoffs one way or another. I think they get it done.
Yeah. And what a year the Colts have had. They're on bye this week, so don't really get to talk about them, but they've had a phenomenal year thus far. But go ahead and talk about the start sets. A lot of Chargers here. Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, or Rondé Gadsden, they've all had great years. A great season this year. Justin Herbert has had multiple really big-time games because of the weapons that he has. The running game hasn't been great, so you'll see the running backs on the other side of the graphic here. We'll talk about them in a moment, but Ladd started off really slow, has had pretty consistent season over the past 4 or 5 weeks now, so got to start him. I think he's very similar to like a Wan'Dale Robinson right now. And then Rondé Gadsden, I know he left the game a little bit early, I think in the second quarter with a lower body injury, I think. looks like he's going to play. But in that first half, he had 7 targets. He was on pace for 14 targets that game. So, I mean, he's one of the primary guys in this offense. And I start him over guys like QJ in tight end premium leagues. And then for the Jaguars, I like Travis Etienne, like you said. I think versus this defense, it's not the best versus the run, but I think Travis Etienne can have a solid game. Looking for a touchdown for Etienne this week. And then Brian Thomas Jr., like you said, the breakout game has to come at some point. He had a couple of solid games, 80 yards and a touchdown, but it's nowhere close to what we saw last year, where it was like 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, whatever he ended up having. He just hasn't done that this year. With Travis Hunter being out, multiple other injuries, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the wide receiver 1 in this offense, and I think he can have a solid game. And then for the sits, Trevor Lawrence has just been mid to me, man. He's got to get rushing touchdowns. He's hasn't thrown more than 3 touchdowns, more than once in the past 2-3 years. I mean, he just hasn't been a very good passing quarterback. And on the goal line, he is big. He likes to do some Josh Allen shenanigans on the goal line, get some rushing touchdowns. But I think that's the only way he's relevant. And I think the Chargers can stop that. So don't like Trevor Lawrence as a start. Don't like Bashal Tootin. He's not the primary running back there. Kamani Vidal has had a couple of really big games, but has cooled off a ton. And then the most controversial one is Keenan Allen. Since Oronde Gadsden has kind of shown up, Keenan Allen hasn't really done much. And I think that's because Oronde Gadsden has taken that role from him. You can only feed so many guys, and I think Gadsden's the better player at this point in his career, and they serve very similar purposes. Keenan Allen's the really, good possession receiver, will move the chains for you. Oronde's very similar to that. So, and then last but not least, any Chargers running back, staying away from them, whether it's, I know Hassan Haskins is on IR, whoever else they have. I looked at the roster and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find their PNGs on Google. So
that's why I like the Jaguars to win this game. It's just they're banged up with the offensive line and they can't run the football. So give me the Jags in that one.
All right.
But
well, we'll go ahead
and go ahead and go to the next slide. I got a little bit of a breaking news, 2 parts breaking news. So First part, earlier today, ABC announced that in 2029, they're going to acquire all the rights to March Madness, all of it. So it's going to be on the ABC network. It's going to be removed from CBS. We talked about this before we went on the air, but it's finally over. YouTube and Disney have made the agreement to get their games back on YouTube TV. So that's a big one for all our fans out there.
That's for college football too?
Yeah, it's for all of it. Everything's back to what it was prior to them breaking down, but it seems like YouTube stood their ground and realized, we're not going to let Disney screw us over on the price. But that's just a big win for everybody involved. So you want to sign up for some YouTube TV, that would be ideal. Just get things going. So, but I just want to say that before we went on to our afternoon slate. And Bobby, this is my lock of the week here. And I got to back it up. I'm not using the word lock because I never use the word lock because that's bad luck. This is my favorite play of the week. Give me the Rams. I want all the Rams. I want Jared Verse to go in there and make Sam Darnold's life a living hell. I think that pass rush is going to get back there, and I think that they're going to handle business. Stafford is humming. This offense is moving. I like all their skilled players. Devontae Adams has found the fountain of youth. You got Puka Nacua on the other side. You got Williams running the ball. It just feels like the Rams are going to put the belt ass at home. The Rams are going to, I think, win the NFC West at this point. I think they're going to take charge here and show who's boss. Give me the Rams. It's my favorite play of the day Sunday.
And Sean McVay, look, I agree with you. I think the Rams win this game because Stafford's been amazing. But not only Stafford, but Sean McVay has been in his bag this year, especially on the goal line. I mean, they're having these big jumbo, 12 personnel, 2-by-1 sets here with 2 tight ends, the extra offensive linemen in there, just like big run energy, and then they just throw the fade to Devontae Adams. Or he cuts inside on a quick slant, throws it to Devontae Adams because he's just such a good receiver to just throw to, and he's going to come down with the ball in the red zone. That's why he leads the NFL in touchdowns. So The Rams, I do like this because of the play caller, and I do think this game is close, but I think the Rams win it by 5 to 7 points. But we'll go ahead and look at the start sits. Sam Darnold's playing like an MVP candidate. He's been playing great football all year, and I'm really happy for it because I thought Darnold would struggle heavily this year. He did not, because Jackson Smith and Jigba has just been like, hey, I'm the best receiver in the NFL. And right now, he's been playing like the best receiver in the NFL. So, like both of those guys to start. And then Stafford, I mean, he leads the NFL in touchdowns. He's, I want to say, second in the NFL in yards. I mean, he might lead the NFL in yards right now. I think he does. He's statistically the best quarterback in the NFL. So, like him, no rushing upside really, but Stafford is a must-start right now in fantasy. And Puka Nacua is also a must-start in fantasy. He gets a ridiculous amount of targets. Him and Jamar Chase are on the same level for the amount of targets every week, and Puka comes down with pretty much every target. So, love him, even if he doesn't score a touchdown, he can get you 25 points. Kyron, again, on the goal line, they'll play with your emotions a little bit and make them say, hey, it's Devontae Adams, and they'll run up the gut and kill you with Kyron Williams, who's a really good goal line back. I think Kyron can get himself a touchdown. Don't think 100-yard game versus this Seattle defense, but think 65 and a touchdown, maybe 2-3 catches for Kyron. Then for the sits, I've said this. Oh, go ahead.
Start Devontae Adams, too. I know there's not enough room on the graph. Devontae's a start.
Yeah, he's the guy that I took off this list. I do not hate starting him in the flex if you want. His targets are just so little. Like, he's getting touchdowns pretty much every game because they utilize him in a great way in the red zone. But, yeah, Devontae, he can get you 4 points or he can get you 18 points, So, he's a little bit of a boom or bust for me. Right now, he's been cooking. But I like the corners for Seattle. So it's going to be one of those red zone calls to get him relevant this week. But for the sits, the running game, I've said this all year, the running backs for Seattle, you have to stay away from. I mean, they got George Halani in there scoring rushing touchdowns over Kenneth Walker last week. Stay away from them. I mean, neither one of these guys are particularly – they're not – I think both of them are good running backs. They're just neither one of them are getting the touches to be relevant. And then A.J. Barner, he had a really hot streak for a few weeks early on in the season. He hasn't done much, so stay away from him unless, obviously, he's your only tight end. Terrence Ferguson had a ton of hype in the preseason. He hasn't really done much outside of a couple of catches. I know he had a touchdown this year, but outside of that, he's not starting. I think he's a guy next year type of guy. Then Jordan Whittington, I know he's got like a 10-point projection. Stay away from him. I don't think he meets that. But we do have a question from Juan, once again. Thank you for hopping in the chat, Juan. Wide receiver 1, 2, 3, and flex spot. Devontae, Debo, QJ, Jacoby, Jordan Addison, Parker Washington, Tej Johnson. Okay. Jacobs Henderson, very good. RB 1 and 2 in my opinion. I would probably start Devontae, QJ, and Debo would be your wide receiver 1, 2, and 3s, and then it would be between Addison and Parker Washington, in my opinion. One of those two guys. I like Jordan Addison a little bit more than Parker Washington, but Parker Washington's the safer play. So I'll say this: if you start all of those guys and you have like a 39% projection, 39% chance to win, I would go with Addison. But if you're projected to win, I would go with Parker Washington because he's the much safer play. And then who for my QB1? CJ Stroud's hurt, so obviously not. I know this might sound crazy. I'm going to go with Bo Nix, obviously, but he is playing the Chiefs this week. He is playing them at home. Jacoby Brissett might be the best play on that list. It's either Bo Nix or Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. I might say I'm crazy and say Jacoby Brissett over all those guys, but I think you start Bo Nix. Bo Nix has more upside. All right, let's go ahead and get it. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go ahead and hop into the next game. And this is why I like Jacoby Brissett, because look who he's playing against. The San Francisco they were the 29ers last week. Now they're the 20ers.
They were the what?
they're the no Niners. They have nobody on their team. I mean, I don't know how they're favorites. I mean, I like the offensive play calls that they do, but the Cardinals, man, I mean, they've got some stuff going on offensively now that Kyler's out, and Jacoby Brissett's really did good stuff versus this team. They beat them early on in the season. I think the Cardinals split the series here, and I think they go 1-1 this year. I like the Cardinals plus 2.5 here. The 49ers, I mean, you just can't keep winning games. I know Brock should be back this week, which is one of the reasons I'm going with the Cardinals. I think they're bringing him back too soon, and Mac Jones is really making things happen, winning football games, and Ricky Pearsall should be back, so they're getting a little bit more healthy. But, yeah, I like the Cardinals still. I think Gannon is on the hot seat, and he's really having to get some wins pushed together here, so I like the Cardinals.
Well, it's a podcast, so we need to talk about it when it's on a podcast, you know what I mean, with the 49ers specifically. And a podcaster here would like to say that it's really hard for me to – this is a really, really tough game. This is one that I would not wager on, all right? Well, I'm going to take a side for the sake of the game, but I mean, Brock Purdy is from Phoenix area, a little town called Queen Creek, so it's a homecoming for him. He's played here before. But they still have Christian McCaffrey. They still have better skill players than the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, they have Trey McBride and Kittle, and that could be a wash. But then after that, it's a whole lot of nothing. Harrison's out for the Cardinals.
Yeah,
Jacoby Brissett is the reason he's on his 6th NFL team. Now, the 49ers are feeling the absence of Fred Warner. They are feeling it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it was tough enough without Nick Bosa, but with Fred Warner, it's like the heart's been ripped out of the 49ers. And I'm going to take the home team and the points reluctantly, just because of how embarrassing the Cardinals looked last week in Seattle. That was just an abomination in the first half. Yeah. I mean, they just looked really, really horrendous. And I have that, you know, spot where you come back and show that you're not as
fight or flight, right? You have to answer. You have to answer adversity, and if you can't, then
I would be overjoyed if the Cardinals won this game. I'm not a 49ers guy. I mean, they just are a team that you want to talk about on the podcast. But, you know, we're just going to deep down over to the starts and sits. So go ahead and
so
deep away.
Christian McCaffrey is electric. He's not super efficient with the touches that he's given, but he's getting a hell of a lot of touches. The run game hasn't been great outside of a few games here lately for McCaffrey, but he's still getting a ton of catches. You know, he's like second in the NFL in targets, only behind Jamar Chase.
I mean, I don't blame
top 5 in the NFL in receiving yards. It's just insane. So Christian McCaffrey is a must-start RB1 for you. Ricky Pearsall, reluctantly, he should play. I'm hearing reports that him and Purdy are going to play. I'm reluctantly starting him because he could literally go out there and get hurt again. That's been his career thus far, as he plays a couple games, does 120 yards and a touchdown, and then never plays again. I'm going to start you, but if you lay a dud on me, I don't know if I'm starting you again this year. That's just
him and Purdy might show out because they're both from Phoenix. I mean, Pearsall Fredo area code tattooed on his arm. He can't hide it. Had some time at ASU before he went to Florida too. So
yeah. And then George Kittle, I know he's been a little underwhelming since he's came back from injury, but I think he's a must start as well, especially with Brock Purdy. They have that connection together. Jacoby Brissett, like I said earlier, hasn't laid a game under 20 points this year. I think Jacoby Brissett continues that dominance, and we're going to see a really solid season from Jacoby Brissett until he starts inevitably falling apart, which we'll talk about a player that's falling apart later on in, I think, one of the last games that we cover. And then Trey McBride. Trey McBride's getting a touchdown every single week. Jacoby Brissett and him are just two peas in a pod. Trey McBride was already an elite tight end 1 without the touchdown upside, but now he has the touchdown upside, so he is a must start. I would start him over 8 out of 10 receivers right now. And then for the sits, whoever the 49ers quarterback is, staying away from them. Brock Purdy has the same amount of touchdowns as he does picks this year. I'm just going to stay away from him. Same thing with Jawan Jennings. With Pearsall coming back, Jennings is going to have a minimal role. Brian Robinson has had some moments, but I'm staying away from him for now. Michael Wilson is the wide receiver 1 for this team. I think Trey McBride is actually the wide receiver 1 on this team. And Michael Wilson's just been mid. since he's been in the NFL. He's been fine. He just hasn't been spectacular with the targets. And then for the running backs, I know Bam Knight's here, but none of the running backs really are calling my name. DeMarcado, Bam Knight, none of those guys are really calling my name for fantasy. So staying away from all the Cardinals running backs.
All right, that's good stuff. Keep on going to the next.
All right. Well, we've got a AFC North showdown here. The Baltimore Ravens going on the road to play the Cleveland Browns, who have just been meh this year, as they always have been. Baltimore's minus 8.5-point favorites. I don't know, man. I don't buy in to the Ravens being this world beater team. When Lamar was in there, they weren't winning football games. They looked bad with Lamar, and then he got hurt, and they looked even worse. And then they come back, and they're looking like an okay team. I think they win this game, but I don't think it's by over a touchdown. So I'm going to go with the Browns plus 8.5 here.
I'm going to take, pardon, there's a little bit of noise going on here. I'm going to take the Ravens to cover the points here. I think that Lamar Jackson's made a huge difference since he's returned. And I will take them to absolutely annihilate Cleveland. Cleveland offensively cannot get the job done with Dylan Gabriel. They're answering constant questions about the quarterback situation going on in Cleveland. But I'll take the Ravens to cover the 8.5 on the road. Ravens are gunning to try to win this division. I think it's very possible that they can do that. And this is last week. I said it was going to happen. It came 1 yard away from happening at the goal line, but this is where Rashad Bateman finally has himself an anytime touchdown score. So give me the Ravens to cover the 8.5 on the road.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and look at the start sits. Lamar Jackson, best quarterback in fantasy football history. Got to start him. Derrick Henry has had a pretty solid week as well. I think he needs a touchdown to be really good, but he's getting the touches, so I think he's relevant. And then Mark Andrews is getting all the touchdowns basically that Lamar Jackson throws. So I think Mark Andrews is a good start as well for the tight end position. Then Quinshon, I think Quinshon's been playing pretty good football this year. I think, he got hurt, a little bit banged up, hasn't really returned to what he was week 3, week 4, but I think he can. I think he's going to be a pretty solid running back this week versus a Ravens defense that isn't really that great. I know they played well the past couple of weeks, but yeah, I'm not buying into the Ravens have a good defense now, magically. Then Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy had a big game last week. I think he can have another game this week versus this meh Ravens defense. I'll say it again. Jerry Jeudy has been getting the targets all year long. He's been getting the targets all year long. He just hasn't gotten opportunities really. The targets haven't been great. So I think the targets they're finally starting to get something going with him. And I think Jerry Jeudy can be a flex start. And then for the sits, Gabriel has had some good games. He's had some egg games. Like I said, he's Case Keenum. That's what he is. I think he's Case Keenum. I think at some point they do need to start Shadur just to see what they have in him. But I don't think he's a better quarterback than Dylan Gabriel. I'll say that now. I'm not a Shadur hater. I just hated his film. David Njoku has been probably the biggest bust in tight end fantasy this year. He hasn't done much of anything. That's just due to the offense and how they play call. So don't think David's a good start here. Then any of the other wide receivers, I think Zay Flowers is an okay start. I wouldn't fall in love with starting him this week, but he's a decent 8 to 10 point guy. But Hopkins and Bateman are just very inconsistent assets. And then Isaiah Likely, I know people got a little bit excited for him once he got back from injury. Mark Andrews is the guy until he's gone. So Isaiah Likely is going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Good stuff, Bobby. Good stuff, man. Those afternoon slate games look really interesting for Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another really interesting matchup. Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to play the Denver Broncos, who are a very hard-nosed football team. Despite going on the road, the Chiefs are minus 3.5-point favorites. And I think the Chiefs know how important this game is. I mean, they beat the crap out of the Raiders a few weeks ago. They need to try and get towards the top of this division. And right now, I mean, they're not, right? It's the Broncos, and then it's the Chargers, and then it's the Chiefs. So the Chiefs have to start making work now to get towards the top of this division. I think it starts here. I do think the Chiefs win by a touchdown, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. But the Broncos are a really tough team. It's going to be a hard game for the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the Broncos to win the game outright at home here, finally. I mean, Kansas City's had their number for years and years. This feels like a Denver team that's quietly leading the AFC. I mean, they've got an elite football team. They're right up there with the Colts. They should have beat the Colts had it not been for that penalty on that field goal try when they played back in week 2 or whatever it was. And Bo Nix has been wildly inconsistent. And we learned today that J.K. Dobbins is going to probably go on IR, so it's going to be the R.J. Harvey show.
That is the shocker of the year.
So I'm going to take the Broncos here. I think that this might be a potential. If you're looking for a wager, find yourself a little play for the Broncos to win the AFC. I'm going to go that far with it. I think that they can beat.
It's a tough division for anybody to win.
I think they could beat Buffalo. I think they can beat Baltimore. I think that they could beat Kansas City. I don't think there's a team in the AFC that they don't match up well with. Now, Pat Surtain is out for the Broncos.
Yep.
But nonetheless, and the Chiefs are humming. You know, they did lose that game in Buffalo, but I do think that Denver can win this game upright. Give me the Broncos and the points.
So, one of the reasons I'm going to side with the Chiefs here is because their defense is a top 5 defense in the NFL. And when Bo Nix plays good defenses, he really struggles. So
that's that Auburn gene in him. That's that Auburn genetics
Auburn.
in his family.
So we'll go. I mean, I think regardless, I think Bo Nix can have a good game hence why he's on the start list. But Patrick Mahomes must start. I mean, he's the QB2 in fantasy, but he's coming off of a bye. So honestly, he's probably the QB1 here. 1 second before we continue. Hey guys, I'm in an unfortunate flex position. Which 2 should I start? Freiermuth, Loveland, JCM, Sean Tucker, or Calvin Austin? I don't know what the scoring is here, but if it is a tight end premium league, if it's 0.5 for tight ends, I'm going Loveland here pretty easily.
Yes, he's the best one out of all those guys. I think Calvin Austin might be the better option of the 2 with Loveland because they're playing the Bengals. I think that might be an ideal matchup.
He's a little bit banged up, though. PPR, no tight end premium. I'm going to go with either Loveland or JCM, only because JCM's getting the touches. He just hasn't done a lot with it. So whoever you feel better about that morning, whether it's Loveland's playing the better defense. So it just depends on who you feel. I think JCM might be the play if it's not tight end premium, but Loveland has been doing really good the past couple of weeks. Now,
thanks for joining us, America.
Yeah.
I mean, hope you like and subscribe to the channel. So,
all right. Well, like I said, Mahomes probably the QB1 on the year thus far. Like him, Rashee Rice has just been tearing it up since he's came back from his suspension. I'm really happy to see him chugging along. And then Travis Kelce, I think he's a solid starting tight end right now. Outside of that, I'm not really a big fan of any of the other guys like Juju or Hollywood or any of those guys right now. And even Xavier Worthy, I think he's wildly inconsistent. He's just a boomer bust guy at this point. But for the Broncos, Bo Nix, I think, can have a decent game, and R.J. Harvey. I've always liked R.J. Harvey's tape. He's a little bit older, but he's had a decent year thus far, despite not being the workhorse back. Well, J.K. Dobbins is likely out for the rest of the year with a significant foot injury. I said this at the very beginning. I said if J.K. Dobbins plays, he will not finish the season. He's never finished a season in his career thus far. Ever since he's with the Ravens, he just keeps getting hurt. He's a great running back. He just cannot stay healthy. And that's just, it is what it is with him. So I think R.J. Harvey's going to be the guy for the rest of the season. And if he can have a decent game versus the Chiefs defense, he's a start for the rest of the year. Then for the sits, stay away from Kansas City's running game. I was shocked we did not get Breece Hall at the trade deadline. I thought for sure we offered him a 4th. They wanted a 3rd. The Jets didn't want to move off of him. So sucks, but Pacheco is actually ruled out. So it's going to be Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith this week. So stay away from those guys. I do like Brashard, but not as a heavy touch runner. And then for the Broncos, Marvin Mims, wildly inconsistent, but is a big boomer bust target. Evan Ingram had probably one of the worst tapes last week of any tight end that I looked at. I mean, he was just abysmal, could not come down with catches. He's been really underwhelming for the people that were hoping they would get 2023 Evan Ingram from the Jaguars, and it just didn't happen. Then Pat Bryant, I like him a lot, and he's been getting, he had a big-time catch that got called back off of a penalty for like 50 yards. He would have had like 90 yards last week if that penalty didn't call back, but he's just not consistent enough right now. But I do think next year Pat Bryant's going to be a big-time player in fantasy.
Bobby, you are cooking, man. You are cooking. I like those sits. I think that's the most consistent list out of the two of them. Hopefully, Bo Nix has himself a game.
Yeah. JCM did get benched last week for Rodriguez, but I think that's because in certain situations,
You good?
Yeah, the music's tripping me out right now.
Sorry.
I would go with Loveland. Then we have a really high level NFC matchup here. The Lions are going on the road to play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are minus 2.5-point favorites. They have not had a great offensive showing for a while. They have been really bad on offense pretty much the entirety of the year, and the Lions are the exact opposite. They have had a really good offensive showing the majority of the games. So I like the Lions plus 2.5 here. I would probably say Lions money line is a good play for me, but I'm not the sports bettor really. So
I'm going to take the Eagles minus 2.5 at home. The Lions, when they lose football games, they lose to better defenses. They lost to Minnesota. They lost to Green Bay. And I think that they're going to lose this football game. I'm not trying to be biased. Pardon all the banging. We're doing some remodeling here. Can you hear that?
yes.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say for shortness of time and because of what's going on here, give me the Eagles to cover 2.5.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and look at the start sits. I like Goff. Goff is towards the top of the NFL in touchdowns. Really no picks at all. So I like Goff as a starter, as a very high floor quarterback. Gibbs, same thing, very high ceiling. Doesn't have the lowest floor either for one of those speed backs. He's getting the touches. And I think he can burn this Eagles defense in a number of ways. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, even in a bad game, Amon-Ra's getting you 8-9 points at the minimum. So like Amon-Ra, he's getting the targets. He's the wide receiver 2 in fantasy, only behind JSN. So I like Amon-Ra St. Brown here. Then for the Eagles, I think the only people I really feel good about is Jalen Hurts, obviously with the rushing touchdown upside and the rushing upside in general, and Saquon. Saquon's been getting the touches. He's been getting the passing game, and I like both of these guys for fantasy just because their floors are so high. Devonta Smith is an honorable mention. I think he's fine. It's just I'm not somebody that I'm not a huge Eagles wide receiver guy. AJ Brown is on the sit side. He's only had 2 good games this year, and we're in week 11. He's had 2 good games. The rest of them have been 4 points, 5 points, like nothing. AJ Brown said, if you have me in fantasy, drop me. So the relationship is not great right now in Philadelphia, so I'm staying away from AJ Brown because he told me to. The man himself said, hey, do not play me in fantasy. There's nobody in the world that knows his situation better than he does. So
wait a minute, maybe he's in a fantasy league and he's trying to acquire himself and he's just trying to psych out his fantasy league teammates. You never know what's going on in that guy's mind. He could be playing 5-dimensional chess like Trump does.
Nope. Staying away from AJ Brown until he proves me otherwise. I mean, he's been bad anyways. And then Jahan Dotson, sorry, I know I hate on you every single week, but there's not too many guys in this offense that I'm putting on this sit side. Definitively, Jahan Dotson's one of them. Jameson's a big boomer bust. I know he's been on the upswing of the past 2-3 weeks, but Jameson is still a boomer bust wide receiver 2. Well, at this point, he's a wide receiver 3. And then David Montgomery could have a touchdown, but that's the only reason he's going to be relevant this week if he gets a touchdown. And any other Lions wide receiver, we're talking about your Isaac Tislas or any of the other guys in that offense, I'm staying away from. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the last matchup. It's the Monday night game. The Dallas Cowboys going on the road to play the Las Vegas Raiders. And Dallas, despite how bad the Raiders have been this year and how good the Cowboys have been this year, even though they ain't getting the wins, offensively they've been pretty good. They're only 3.5-point favorites. I like the Cowboys to cover here. I think the Raiders are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL, even if they're playing at home.
I'm going to take the Raiders to cover 3.5 at home here. I think this is a Brock Bowers absolute elite slugfest. Remember, the Cowboys do have this great offense, but they also have to face somebody named Max Crosby. And the Cowboys, when they play good defenses, they generally tend to fold up. They just do. I mean, they played the Packers, and when Devontae Wyatt got injured, they were able to open it up later in the game. But we see how much of a difference he made for that team. I'm going to take the Raiders to possibly win this game outright. I mean, I know it's a little bit of a shock. Geno Smith has been awful. The Raiders have been awful. But this just feels like a Monday night spot where the Raiders are going to put points on the board. Remember, the Cowboys' defense is atrocious. And the Raiders do got something. But, man, they're missing Jacoby Myers. I mean, that receiving core is brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jack Besh. This might be a Dante Thornton 75-yard touchdown game right here. This might be a breakout game for him. It's the perfect team to break out against. I mean, the Raiders are licking their wounds, and they're trying to win football games. It's an unfortunate Monday night matchup, but I'm going to take the Raiders to cover that 3.5 at home.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and look at the start sits. Dak Prescott versus this defense. I don't think this defense is good outside of Max Crosby, really. They don't have a great secondary. They don't have a great linebacking core. There's only one person you can really name on the defensive line, and that's Max Crosby. This defense isn't that great, I don't think. I think Dak Prescott's really going to tear them up. And when Dak Prescott's not tearing them up, Javonte Williams is going to be gashing them up the middle. Max Crosby is a decent run defender, but he can't do it by himself. The Raiders are in full rebuild mode right now, I think, and Javonte's really going to hurt them. Hopefully, I have him in a lot of fantasy leagues, so hopefully he does good things versus this Raiders defense. And then CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is a solid player to have on your team. If you're in fantasy and you have him, you should be pretty happy, regardless of whether he got hurt for 4 weeks or not. Ashton Jeanty, I think this Cowboys defense is bad, but I think Ashton Jeanty can have a couple of pretty big-time runs. I think they can score a decent amount, but I think the Cowboys are just going to overwhelm them with the points. And Brock Bowers, with this defense being piss poor for the Dallas Cowboys, I think Brock Bowers can have a pretty good game. Not as good as he had 2 weeks ago with the 50-point game, but I do think Brock Bowers can have a pretty solid day. But for the sits, the main reason why I'm going with the Cowboys here is Geno Smith. Geno Smith has been terrible this year. I don't know how he still has the starting reins. I guess you don't want to give it to AOC again. You already know what he is. You don't really have any. You could throw in the guy from North Dakota State, I guess. But, I mean, he's your only guy right now, I think. And I think Raiders are clearly looking for a quarterback in the draft this year. So I think they're going to lose.
Fernando Mendoza.
Mendoza could be a Raider or Ty Simpson. Or, I don't think Mateer goes in the first round at this point, but, somebody. Geno Smith has just not been good, and I'm never starting him in any of my leagues if I have him for the rest of the year. Trey Tucker, Jack Best, Jonte Thornton. Basically, any Raiders player that's not Bowers or Jeanty, I'm staying away from. Thornton is the only guy that has actual upside, but he can give you 0. He's given you 0 a lot. But if you're down and the projections say the other player has like an 80% chance to win, throw Dante Thornton in there, I guess, because he could have a big-time week. But his reality is probably a point to 3 points. Jack Besh, their second-round pick, just hasn't really worked out thus far. A couple of penalties on him, just kind of trying to understand the NFL. It's been tough. But, yeah, this is staying away. If you see there's not a single Cowboys player on the sit list, and that's because I think the Cowboys really hurt them.
Well, folks, there's some construction going on in my house, as you guys can hear. I'm going to let Bobby sign us off. I just hope you guys tune in next Friday at the same time. Go ahead and kick us out of here, Bobby.
All right. Well, yeah, that was our start sits. That was our college football overview, right? So, again, thank you guys, everybody that came in, dropped a comment, watched the whole show, everything like that. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to do anything sports bet related, Justin Paul Sports does bets every single day on his shorts. I I've been dropping. Yeah,
I got the shorts. I mean, like I said, I apologize for the construction. We're getting some stuff done in our bathroom, but yeah, I put shorts up every day. That'd be the last thing I say.
yeah. So shorts every day from him. If you want to make money, he's the guy to make money from. And for me, I haven't been posting a lot of content because my actual real life has been really busy here lately. But when I do post content, it's a lot about film breakdowns, Dynasty stuff, things like that. The channel is probably going to be shifting to more of a film breakdown main type of channel. So if you guys are interested breaking down film and that correlation to fantasy, that's what I do. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you guys in the next episode of Cover 2 Cash.
Roll Tide.